Hello and welcome back. Eddie Radosevich, George Stoia here from the Alamo Dome. Oklahoma coming up on Thursday, making their, second appearance in 3 years here in San Antonio for the Alamo Bowl. We did have a bunch of media stuff today. Heard from Arizona coaches, heard from Arizona players. I think it was pretty clear, George, that, I can't remember which player it was, but this is a championship game for Arizona in terms of, everything that's out there. And then Oklahoma not necessarily stumbles into the Alamo Dome. I don't think that would be the right way to say it, but there is a little bit of weirdness that comes with it, and that happened today. We talked to Seth Littrell for the first time as he kind of moves into a coordinator role. Let's start there. Let's start with Seth Littrell. I mean, it was the first time that we had talked to him since being named co-offense coordinator alongside John Finley. Yeah, really kind of an introductory press conference for Seth Littrell that we didn't get to have back in Norman, so we have it here in San Antonio. And it was funny because, Drake Stoops, McCade Matower, Billy Bowman, Ethan Downs, Ted Roof, John Finley, all these people are up there, and the only person that anybody wanted to talk to was Seth Littrell. So he got the majority of the questions today, but good to talk to him. He's clearly been a head coach before. He knows how to handle the media. Very good answers, as you'll see here in a minute. But just interesting to hear kind of his perspective on Jackson Arnold, their kind of relationship that they've built, what he thinks of him as a player, and then also kind of what this offense is going to look like, which it sounds like in the bowl game it's going to be pretty much the same offense that we've seen all season. They're not going to try and change anything up. It's too quick of a turnaround for him to go ahead and install his entire system. And then come springtime, that's when you'll see them kind of change and do more of what Littrell wants to do. Let's start with Seth Littrell. Obviously, his father played at Oklahoma 74-75. He was a national champion, just like Seth was. I thought this was a pretty cool answer on just kind of growing up in Muskogee and praying, literally, for where he is today.
Yeah, for me, obviously being born and raised here, my father played here, and so that's all I ever knew growing up. That was my dream growing up, and I remember laying in bed growing up, and I told our players this story kind of when I got hired. My mom always sitting over there and telling us, telling me, I was going to follow my father's footsteps, have the opportunity to play for a national championship at Oklahoma. And she said that a long time ago, and I would get so excited, and then we would say our prayers at night. And that's the honest God truth. We'd pray on that, and she's been praying over that for my entire life. And God's been good to us, and got the opportunity to come here and play for a national championship and be a part of an unbelievable team. And so this place obviously means everything to me. I've been trying to get back here for 23 years. This is obviously the place I want to be. I'm just as much of a fan as I am a coach. I'm a huge fan of Oklahoma, and so I have high expectations of this program, along with everybody sitting up here and everybody within our program. And so we know the expectations, and hey, we're gonna do everything we can to go out, compete, win championships. But it's all about the coaches and players and the fans. That's what makes this place so special. And I'm just glad to be home.
Obviously, I think any kid that grows up in the state of Oklahoma can identify with that. I think that there's a bunch of Oklahoma fans, whether you went to Oklahoma or not. If you cheer for the Sooners on Saturday in the fall, you can identify with, I think just the passion that is there. Seth, obviously, getting back home, he said it on Tuesday down here at the Alamo Dome. In terms of what you're going to see, obviously Jackson Arnold making his first start in, an Oklahoma uniform. It's been a kind of a strange journey to get to this point, but here they are, and it's going to be interesting to see how they kind of marry these two offensive philosophies alongside John Finley, who is also a co-offense coordinator going into Thursday. Yeah, look, they come from different coaching trees. Seth Littrell, obviously, he's a Mike Leach guy, comes from the air raid. That's what he ran at North Texas, North Carolina, Arizona. His first time calling plays, they ran the air raid there. Whereas John Finley comes from kind of the Art Briles spread offense, type of coaching tree. What does that look like? And I know there's obviously some similarities there in terms of what they're doing, but there's also a lot of differences. So what is that going to look like, those two kind of working together? Obviously, Seth will be the one calling the plays. He also, later in the breakouts, would not tell us if he's going to be sitting in the box or not. I do think he will be. I know John was down on the sidelines this year. I would anticipate that means Littrell will be in the box, but we'll see. Littrell's done both as a play caller before. So again, I don't know what it's going to look like, but they seem to work well together. At least that's what we got. That was kind of the feeling that
I got today asking that question.
And it goes back to the continuity stuff that Brent Venables talked about when he named the two co-OCs, the story that we broke on Soonerscoop.com, just kind of the ideology behind promoting both of those guys and promoting them within, keeping the continuity, certainly out here on Thursday. George, you did ask him, him being Seth Littrell, about how they're going to marry the offensive philosophies between Joe John Finley and himself, and here's that answer.
Yeah, for me, I think I've come from a lot of different backgrounds over the years. Just from the places I've had the great opportunity to be around a lot of great coaches, a lot of great offensive minds, and not just the head coaches I've worked for, but a lot of the assistants as well. So I've kind of evolved over the years to, anywhere I've gone to, hopefully evolve in the system that fits our players, the strengths of our players, not so much around, some of it's going to fit your personality, but a lot of it year to year is going to change depending on what you have, who's the quarterback, what are your receivers, running backs, O-line. Every year is a little bit different, and I think it's our job as coaches to put our players in the best situations to have success. Whatever that is, that's what we need to do. And so we're always evolving, always looking to get better. But we have very similar backgrounds. It's a lot closer than you would think. And so that's one of the reasons I came to the University of Oklahoma, just believed in what they were doing offensively. It was very similar to what I was doing before the past few years at North Texas. And so it was just a great fit for me, and just being able to learn and grow under this system. A lot of the things that we were doing has really helped me just evolve more into this system as well. So it's been great.
It's going to be kind of a wait and see mode. I mean, I think that there's a lot of people obviously excited for the Alamo Bowl, excited for the start of the Jackson Arnold era. And, Tuesday was the first time that we were able to talk to some of the players on the back end of what has been a bowl practice, certainly back in Norman, and then here during the course of the early portion of the week coming up on Thursday into the game. Just kind of your overall thoughts. I think that the first thing that pops off the page to me is, you hear Drake, you hear McCabe Mattower, you hear Billy Bowman even. I think that Gentry Williams had that clip on Katie and Helms' podcast talking about Brent Venables would go back and rewind some of the throws that Jackson would make during practice. The excitement level for the start of the Jackson Arnold era, tenfold it seems.
Yeah, the expectations are high, and Seth Littrell talked about those expectations for Jackson, and it sounds like those two have worked really well together. And Seth Littrell sat in on all the quarterback meetings this year, so he's worked with Jackson throughout the season. You may not always see it, you may not have seen it during the season a whole lot, but he has, and it seems like Seth has really high expectations for him. He said he thinks he can be a really special player, but in terms of this game on Thursday, I think they just want to build his confidence up. That's what this game is about. You heard guys like Drake and McCade talk about that this week, wanting to make sure that Jackson goes out, performs well, so that going into next year he feels really good about where things stand. And so that's why Thursday's going to be really interesting. They're going to be running the same offense, but do they let Jackson loose? Do they let him kind of throw it down the field, let him kind of run this thing? Whereas, it felt like at times at BYU when he came in, it was one of those situations where, hey, let's just get out of here with the win. Whereas I think this game Thursday, you can kind of be a little bit more free-flowing, let him kind of loose, let him, show off that arm a little bit, and again, build some of that momentum heading into next year.
Here is Seth Littrell, as well as a number of the players that were part of the media party today here in San Antonio, talking about the former five-star Jackson Arnold making his first start on Thursday.
It's been awesome. Jackson's a phenomenal young man, extremely hard worker. He's going to put in all the time that it takes to prepare the right way each and every week, even though he wasn't the starter in most of those games this year. So, like I told him, we both getting our first start together. So it'll be an amazing time. No one better to do it with. But like I told him, we got great playmakers around us, great coaches around us that are going to make plays for us too. And so our job is to work as hard as we can and collaborate effort with everybody else and do our job, make the plays and manage the game that we're supposed to, and let the guys around us make huge plays for us as well.
Yeah, he's been maturing day by day, and especially yesterday at practice, I saw some very mature quarterback plays, scramble drills that he was making, which really impressed me, and I made sure to let him know how impressed I was with what he was doing. So, but yeah, like I said, being the young guy versus being the guy, you free yourself up to take chances and make decisions, and I think he's doing that, and it's freeing him up to play better ball. So
yeah, shoot, he made one this morning. He made one yesterday. He makes them, all the time. Like I said before, he has NFL arm talent. just a young guy, just what comes with a young guy. Once he gets the experience down, it's going to go skyrocket.
I think there's been a ton of growth. I think Jackson's one of those guys that he's going to, compete every single day with himself and get a day better. And these players will be able to tell you a little bit more. They're with him every single day in the locker room, the amount of work he puts in. Obviously, you're going to get more and more comfortable with more days of practice and more reps with the first group. And so, listen, Jackson's a phenomenal young man. He loves competing. He always goes out and plays with that chip on his shoulder. And, I definitely believe he's going to be a special player. But, again, there's a ton of special players over on this team, and guys that are striving to get better each and every single day, one day better. That's what we're here to do, and these guys go to work at it every single day. It's not just Jackson; it's our entire group.
George, nothing's going to be easy or smooth for Jackson Arnold as well as Seth Littrell on Thursday if you can't block up front. And Oklahoma's obviously going to have a very new look to them up on the front.
Yeah, look, they got Walter Rouse and McCade Matauer. Those are it for the two starting offensive linemen. You also lose several reserve guys when you talk about, Savion Byrd leaving in the portal. You had Caden Green go in the portal. Tyler Guyton's off to the NFL. Andrew Rames off to the NFL. I mean, the list goes on. And so you're going to see a lot of new faces. I think Caleb Schaefer is going to get that start at left guard. He's a veteran guy. He's played a lot of football. So you feel comfortable about him. You get Troy Everett, the Appalachian State, transfer. I think he's going to start at center. Jacob Sexton at right tackle. So it's a new group that's going to have to mesh quickly. But, hey, we saw it last year, right? The Cheez-It Bowl, now the Pop-Tarts Bowl. They had a whole new offensive line in there because they lost several guys. I think Bill Bedenbaugh thrives in these moments, so we'll see what it looks like. I'm sure they'll also do some things to make it a little bit easier on them. But when you have guys like McCade Matauer, who's been around the block, somebody that has played a lot of football, has played in the system, Walter Rouse as well, you feel a little bit better that you have those two guys sticking around to play in this game. But it's gonna definitely be a challenge, and I think that's probably OU's biggest weak spot going in this game.
It's going to be tough. We did talk to McCade Matauer on Tuesday here in San Antonio, kind of about the process of replacing 4 starters going into the bowl game.
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, as Coach B, we all practice different spots and different positions, so it's it's more of a plug and play when we're switching guys around, which has been good for us. Jacob had been a left tackle for a while, putting him at right, and I think he's done a great job there. So just being mature about not wanting to stick in one position, just being wherever you can to help the team is something that this O-line has done very well.
What's this entire process been like, especially through the bowl practices, knowing that there are so many new guys up front, getting used to kind of working with a bunch of those guys?
The process has been, obviously the first couple of practices we had to get some things right, which is, as expected. We had Josh Bates playing center a ton, true freshman. He's doing a great job now. I felt the more practices that we got, the more, glued together as offensive line we were, and, just having more of a system, because not all offensive lines work the same. We're working differently than we did with Tyler and Andrew there, so, and Savion and Caden. So I think that, we're developing our own system through these 15 practices, which has been really good for us. So I think it'll help us run smooth during the game as well.
Listen, he said all the right things, but when the Bullets start flying on Thursday evening at 8 o'clock, who knows? I mean, I think it's going to be very kind of a much of a wait and see to see if this offense is able to move the ball at the pace that I think that they can. Yeah. Those guys up front are going to have a very good game. And, it's reminiscent of a year ago standing in Orlando and learning that Chris Murray was going to be out for the bowl game. And then all of a sudden you're replacing 4 starters. You're in the same exact spot that you were in, but come Thursday night, obviously, they got their work cut out for them.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a really difficult challenge. I think that when you look at that offensive line, especially going up against this Arizona defense, this is a defense that's played really good football this year. Protecting Jackson Arnold is going to be key. So what do? Do they do some different protections up front to do those sorts of things? What does it look like running the football? They really started to get the running game going the last few games of the season. Are they able to do that again? Last year in the bowl game, we mentioned it. They had a whole new offensive line. They were able to run the ball against Florida State, which turned out to be one of the better defensive lines in the country this year. So I don't know. It's going to be quite the challenge, Eddie. I'm also hopeful that we get to see some of those young guys, Josh Bates, Hito Zeta, Logan Howland, some of those guys that are now on the depth chart all of a sudden as backups. I wonder if OU tries to rotate some of those guys in. That's what these bowl games are now for, right? You're not playing in the playoff. You might as well try and get some of these young guys some reps.
And especially when you look at some of the freshmen that are in, already here in San Antonio. We talked about them on the show yesterday, just in terms of the 6 guys. There's 7 guys that are here practicing with Oklahoma as early enrollees. Wyatt Gilmore, the defensive tackle from Minnesota, he broke his foot. He's out, which he talked to us about on the signing day special. But that was kind of one of the things that we talked to Billy Bowman about today. We talked to Ethan Downs about just the buzz. I asked Billy, and you'll see it here in a second. You look at that safety group, and just being out there at practice yesterday, they could be really damn good next year.
Yeah, you look at some of the guys they're bringing in. Jaden Hardy's been out there practicing, but you also get Peyton Bowen back next year. Robert Spears-Jennings is still really young. You lose really Reggie Pearson and Key Lawrence, and that's about it back there. So you're feeling really good about that safety spot, but really across the board, I think that they've got a lot of young talent coming in. Nigel Smith, Jaden Jackson, we talked about them on yesterday's show. Those are 2 guys that could maybe come in and play day 1 for Oklahoma next year. I think there's several freshmen out there that could. So it's been a really impressive group, and it's fun to hear from some of the players talking about seeing some of those guys that really have never played college. They've never played college football. They've never even gone through college football practice, and now they're out there practicing alongside the Billy Bowmans of the world.
Certainly a unique opportunity. Here is Billy Bowman, McCabe Mettauer, and Ethan Downs talking about some of the new look Sooner freshmen that are practicing with the Sooners here in San Antonio.
Yeah, like you said, it's pretty unique. I didn't hear about it until last year until my high school teammate Caleb Hicks came early. That's a great thing to do. They're obviously choosing to do this. Leave their family from home for the first time, but I would say it's a great thing for them to understand what they're about to get themselves into. So I feel like it's a great thing to be able to do throughout the country as well.
How important has it been for the young guys, Hito Zetas of the world, that have probably got a lot more run here during bowl practices than they would have during the middle of the season?
Yeah, I think whenever you're a young guy, you kind of think in the back of your head like you can't make mistakes because you don't want to get pulled or you don't want to get replaced or things like that. But whenever you're pretty much the only guys that we have left, I mean, I've learned this myself, but when you're pretty much the only guys that you have left, you kind of mentally free yourself up to make mistakes, which helps you play better, I feel, because you're not so timid in the way that you're blocking. I think he's done a good job of that. Josh has done a really good job of that as well. So, I'm excited to see what those guys are going to do, whether it's in this game or not. I mean, they could possibly get in, but they're ready. So,
all the new guys that have come in, really talented group. I mean, they're all been practicing really hard, and they're really disciplined, coming from their previous schools. All of them have stuck out. They've done a great job.
That's about Jaden Jackson.
Yes, he's really good. He's the star of the group that came in. Sure.
What about Nigel? What have you thought about him? I know it's only been a couple practices.
He's a big dude, and he came in. He said he weighed in like 255, almost 260. Big dude, and he's smart. He asks him a lot of questions. He's an open character. I think he's gonna. I don't lost for word, but I think he's gonna come in really smoothly. Is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. I think he's gonna adapt really quickly, and he seems pretty prepared, mentally prepared to jump into it. And he's going to take the coaching, get the notes down, all of it. And as soon as he's got the Venables brain of defense, he's going to be ready to go.
There's a lot of focus on Thursday and preparing for the game, but have you had an opportunity during these bowl practices to look around at the safety group and think, it'd be really damn good next year?
Yeah, yes, I have. Yes, I have. We're gonna be really good. We got some experience. I probably would be the most experienced guy in the group coming back next year. Robert Spears-Jennings, him being able to get a good amount of playing time this year really helped him a lot. He's a star in the making. So and then obviously Peyton Bowen, the young star. He doesn't know how good he can be, but when he completely applies himself, he'll be the next great one to walk out of Oklahoma. So, and then we also have Jaden Hardy practicing with us right now too. So, I mean, we're gonna be pretty dang good.
It's hard to get past, Thursday. Obviously, Thursday is a different animal of its own. You start thinking about Team 130 and what is to come. Yep. We were talking to Ted Roof during one of the breakout sessions today, getting Danny Stutzman back. You have guys at every level of the defense, and not just players. I mean, they're could possibly be future All-American, certainly with Danny Stutzman. You have Billy Bowman coming back. You have Ethan Downs on the front. Jacob Lacey, DJ Terry have already made their announcements. It's kind of fun to think what this thing's going to be, but first things first, Oklahoma, Arizona coming up on Thursday evening from right here, right behind us at the Alamo Dome. It's almost here. Yeah. I think we'll do one more check-in here on the Soonerscoop.com YouTube page tomorrow on Wednesday. We are going to talk to Brent Venables. We're going to talk to Jed Fish as well, the Arizona head coach, to kind of get their thoughts for the first time coming here in San Antonio, being on site. So it's going to be a lot of fun here as we ramp things up into Thursday evening.
Yeah, today really felt like we're getting closer to kickoff, and I think hearing from Seth Littrell and some of the players today really made it feel that way, and it got me a little bit more excited. I think it's hard on Christmas Day. We're out here watching practice, and it's like, it's Christmas Day, and there's other things on your mind. Today it was very football centric, and I kind of got excited because it's like, what is this really going to look like? And we talked a lot about Seth Littrell and Jackson Arnold. I really want to see what those two can do, and what can this defense do, because you talk about it, they didn't have really any opt-outs. They lose Key Lawrence to the transfer portal. That's about it on defense. They're going to have their full group here. So what can they do to slow down this Arizona offense? And I do think that, I know there's some people out there, what's the motivation for a game like this? You listen to guys like an Ethan Downs and a Billy Bowman, Drake Stoops, what it means to them to play in this game. And sure, it's not the playoff game. It's not a New Year's Six game. But they want to go out the right way. And they also want to carry that momentum going into next year. I think Ethan Downs was the one talking about it today, and I know a couple Arizona players said, hey, this is our championship. Ethan Downs said the same thing. He's like, this means a lot to us to go out here and finish this thing the right way heading into next year.
Well, and it's something to be said, too, that, we can go all the way back to August. You can check some of the videos that we were doing at the beginning of the season and talking about getting to 10 wins, building momentum into the SEC, and you have an opportunity to go win 11 games, and I think that as bad as those 2 weeks were in Lawrence, as bad as the 2 weeks were, with the follow-up weekend in Stillwater, to get to that 11-win total, to get a little bit of momentum, and especially out here against a really good Arizona team that fared very well towards the end of the season. They might be playing some of the better football at the back end of the season than anybody else in the country, truly. So it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be very interesting. We will hear from Brent Venables and Jed Fish on Wednesday here from the Alamo Dome. For George Stoia, I'm Eddie Radosevich. Stay right here on the Soonerscoop.com YouTube channel for plenty more from San Antonio throughout the rest of the week leading up to kickoff on Thursday. Talk to you next time.